Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 15, titled The Yoga of the Supreme Person. We're reading text 1 again. My understanding is this is the third day we're reading this text, right? Third day, right? Yes. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moolam Madashakam Ashvatam Prahur Avyayam Chandam Siyasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moolam Madashakam Ashvatam Prahur Avyayam Chandam Siyasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit Shri Bhagavan Vacha Urdhva Moolam Madashakam Ashvatam Prahur Avyayam Chandam Siyasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moolam Madashakam Ashvatam Prahur Avyayam Chandam Siyasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moolam Madashakam Ashvatam Prahur Avyayam Chandam Siyasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moolam Madashakam Ashvatam Prahur Avyayam Chandam Siyasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moolam Madashakam Avyayam Chandam Siyasya Purnani Yastam Veda Savedavit Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moolam Madashakam Ashvatam Prahur Avyayam Chandam Siyasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit Shri Bhagavan Uvacha The Supreme Personality of Godhead said Urdhva Moolam with roots above Adaha downwards Shakam branches Ashvatam, a banyan tree. Prahu is said. Avyayam, eternal. Chandamsi, the Vedic hymns. Yasya, of which. Parnani, the leaves. Yaha, anyone who. Tam, that. Veda, knows. Saha, he. Vedavit, the knower of the Vedas. Translation: the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Please repeat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. After the discussion of the importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question, what about the Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. The entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. The tree of this material world has no end, and for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. The Vedic hymns meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of this tree. This tree's roots grow upward because they begin from where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. This process of extrication should be understood. In the previous chapters, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of the material entanglement. And up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. Now, the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. I'm sorry, maybe I just need to speak more into the microphone. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. The root of this material existence grows upward. This means that it begins from the total material substance, from the topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded with so many branches representing the various planetary systems. The fruits represent the results of the living entity's activities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Now, there is no ready experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches down and its roots upward, but there is such a thing. That tree can be found beside a reservoir of water. We can see that the trees on the bank reflect upon the water with their branches down and roots up. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire, just as a tree's reflection is situated on water. Desire is the cause of things being situated in this reflected material light. One who wants to get out of this material existence must know this tree thoroughly through analytical study. Then he can cut off his relationship with it. This tree, being the reflection of the real tree, is an exact replica. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahman to be the root of this material tree, and from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy, come Prakriti, Purusha, and then the 3 gunas, then the 5 gross elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, then the 10 senses, Dasendriya, mind, etc. In this way, they divide up the whole material world into 24 elements. If Brahman is the center of all manifestations, then this material world is a manifestation of the center by 180 degrees, and the other 180 degrees constitute the spiritual world. The material world is the perverted reflection, so the spiritual world must have the same variegatedness, but in reality. The Prakriti is the external energy of the Supreme Lord, and the Purusha is the Supreme Lord himself, and that is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Since this manifestation is material, it is temporary. A reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen and sometimes not seen. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. The material reflection of the real tree has to be cut off. When it is said that a person knows the Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off attachment to this material world. If one knows that process, he actually knows the Vedas. One who is attracted by the ritualistic formulas of the Vedas is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the tree. He does not exactly know the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of Godhead himself, is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of the spiritual world. Om Jnana Tamrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulam Militam Yenam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanditamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sitadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Thrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyayeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We'll read the translation again. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas." Hare Krishna. I heard a story about Srila Prabhupada. He was once walking with his disciples, and he pointed to a billboard, and he said, "Look, Golok!" And all the devotees, they looked at the billboard, and from a materialistic angle of vision, the billboard said, Coca-Cola. But that was enough to remind, like if you say Coca-Cola, 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 Coca-Cola. Did you hear it? That was enough to remind Srila Prabhupada of Golok. So the idea, Krishna's describing this world is like an upside down banyan tree. And Prabhupada says, where do you see that? You do see that in one place as the reflection of an actual banyan tree in the water. Everyone knows what a banyan tree looks like? When you see like a nice big banyan tree, there's so many branches going up and down. It's like a whole jungle just in one tree. And Krishna's describing this world is like an upside down banyan tree, in the sense that it's the perverted reflection of the original. Prabhupada has a very nice line in his introduction where he also mentions this same verse. The material world is described as a tree whose roots are upward and branches are below. We have experience of a tree whose roots are upward. If one stands on the bank of a river or any reservoir of water, he can see that the trees reflected in the water are upside down. The branches go downward and the roots upward. Similarly, this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. The material world is but a shadow of reality. In the shadow, there is no reality or substantiality. But from the shadow, we can understand that there are substance and reality. In the desert, there is no water, but the mirage suggests that there is such a thing as water. In the material world, there is no water, there is no happiness, but the real water of actual happiness is there in the spiritual world. Sahotra Swami wrote a book called Substance and Shadow, and he quoted that line from this world is like a shadow, but from the shadow you can understand that the substance must exist. When I was a philosophy major in college, they had something called the problem of universals. Has anyone ever heard of that? One of these annoying perennial philosophical questions. They said, take something like a chair. When we say a chair, everybody knows what that means. But if you were to compare two chairs in the room, you'd find that none are exactly the same. And if you try to say, well, a chair is something with 4 legs that you sit on. Well, yeah, but some of them have 3 legs, or some of them have 1 leg. So how do you really understand what a chair is? Anyway, this is like, and so Plato came up with a thing about the forms. The idea is, in this world, and the other thing is, it's a chair today, and tomorrow, I don't know, it's a pile of rubbish. What's that? Plato. Plato's a philosopher. Yeah, he had the thing about the forms. Anyway, the simple idea was, in this world, you can't find actual substance. But from the shadow, you can understand that the substance must exist. That was the basic idea. I wish I could give a better lesson on that. But Prabhupada is also explaining like that by seeing this world, we can recognize, we see the limitation of this world. We can understand that this is not the reality. And Vaishnava, like Prabhupada, the great Vaishnavas, they don't see this world as the substance, but as the shadow. And they understand how to move through this world in a way that they can be connected with the substance. Our main problem in life is everybody has an identity crisis. And that identity crisis manifests in 2 ways: in how we see ourselves and in how we see the world around us. We're seeing ourselves as this body, and we're seeing the world as a place that's potentially enjoyable by me. But a Vaishnav is seeing everything in a different way. I'm not this body, I'm the eternal servant of Krishna. I'm the eternal soul, and the soul is the servant of Krishna. And this world is not meant for my enjoyment. What can I enjoy in this world? Prabhupada says, right, what did he say in the introduction? Just like there's no water in the desert, there's no happiness in this world. There's no happiness in this world when we try to enjoy it for our own sense gratification. So like a simple example is how we were trained in the Brahmachari ashram. A materialist will look at the form of a woman, and especially like the materialistic man will always be very enthusiastic to know that a lady is not married, because then she's potentially enjoyable by me. A materialistic person will want to enjoy the form of a woman. And that person who's interested in liberation from this world will think, I should have nothing to do with the form of a woman because she will keep me entangled in the cycle of birth and death. But the devotee, how will the devotee think? I think there's even a letter where Prabhupada said that you should see all women as gopis. And what it means is, like the same thing, what Prabhupada saw the sign, he was reminded, just even though you can say it was like the shadow, Coca-Cola, still he was reminded of Golok. When we see the form of a woman, we can think, you can think of the gopis. You can think of Krishna's eternal associates, and they're not for me to enjoy. The gopis are meant for Krishna's enjoyment. Our brahmachari leader told us, when you see the pretty young girls of this world, you should think, these are Radharani's messengers, and they've come to test you. They're checking you out. Is this guy interested in sense gratification, or is he interested in the service of Krishna? They'll test you. And then they'll bring the message back to Radharani. Oh, this guy, he's not ready yet. So like that, I had a few. So like that, we should see this world as the shadow. This is the vision of a Vaishnava. This is the vision that Krishna is giving us. This world is the shadow. We shouldn't become overly enamored with the shadow, but we should walk through this world, and we should see this world in a way to help reconnect us with the substance, which means Krishna. There's a nice comment in the first purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, verse 1, chapter 1. At the end of that purport, right, the verse is about defining the original cause of reality. And in this purport, Prabhupada says, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifically deals with the original and pure sex psychology, adiras, devoid of all mundane inebriety. The whole material creation is moving under the principle of sex life. In modern civilization, sex life is the focal point for all activities. Wherever one turns his face, he sees sex life predominant. Has anyone ever experienced that? Therefore, this is the conclusion. Therefore, sex life is not unreal. There's something real about it. Its reality is experienced in the spiritual world. The material sex life is but a perverted reflection of the original fact. That's the same phrase used in this purport in the Bhagavad Gita. A perverted reflection of the original fact. The original fact is in the absolute truth, and thus the absolute truth cannot be impersonal. That's a profound point, right? People are trying to understand what is the cause of reality. And there's a philosophical principle, I forget what the name for the Sanskrit is, but the idea is an effect cannot be greater than the cause. For example, if everything was like completely soaking wet outside, there were puddles all over the road, and then someone came and said, "What happened? How did everything get so wet?" "Oh, well, I couldn't finish my cup of water, so I just spilled my cup of water outside the window." That wouldn't make any sense, because to explain the cause as being a cup of water when you've got pools and puddles of water all over the road, that would be an insufficient explanation. So in the same way, we see personality, we see love, we see happiness, we see so many varieties of relationship and experience and variety of form. So the cause of that cannot be less. It can't be that there's less than that. Like people feel that if you say that God is a person, then you've limited God. There was one Christian philosopher that we heard who someone challenged, you really think God is a person? Aren't you anthropomorphizing God by saying that God is a person? And his answer was very, very nice. He said, God is not less than a person. When you make God impersonal, it means it's less. It doesn't make any sense. So the idea here is the things that we see in this world must also exist in the original cause, in the reality. So thus, the absolute truth cannot be impersonal. It is not possible to be impersonal and contain pure sex life. Consequently, the impersonalist philosophers have given indirect impetus to the abominable mundane sex life because they have overstressed the impersonality of the ultimate truth. Consequently, man without information of the actual spiritual form of sex has accepted perverted material sex life as the all in all. So the impersonalists are damaging the whole thing because we're persons and we're interested in love and affection and having loving dealings. But if we don't know about the reality of Krishna, then we'll be forced to look for those things in this world. Consequently, man without information of the actual spiritual form of sex has accepted perverted material sex life as the all in all. There is a distinction between sex life in the diseased material condition and spiritual sex life. So anyway, that was just one nice that's from the very first purport of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada is talking about the substance and the reality. So Prabhupada starts the purport, what about the Vedas? What about the Vedas? After the discussion of the importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question, what about the Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. So, and the verse said, who knows the Vedas is the person who understands about this banyan tree. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So, what are the Vedas? The Vedas are the eternal knowledge coming from God that are meant to direct, especially human beings, to make the human mission successful. Just like, any kind of gadget, like you get a computer or a TV or something, it comes with a manual to explain how to use it. So we have the human form of body, we have a little bit of conscious awareness and intelligence, we're trying to figure out what to do. The Vedas is like the manual. Of course, now modern people tend to neglect scripture. The Prabhupada says it's the disease of the modern man to be faithless. But anyway, if we're pious enough to appreciate the need to look for higher authority, we can ask this question, what about the Vedas? Because the Vedas are maybe full of so many sub-goals that are not the ultimate goal. And people tend to get to kind of stagnate on a particular, platform on the way up. So they tend to get stuck. Yeah. So Krishna's explaining the ultimate purpose of the Vedas. Like in the Krishna book, everybody knows the story. There was the day where the cowherd boys were feeling hungry. And they went to Krishna and they said, "You've killed so many demons, Krishna. We've got another one for you. The demon of our hunger. We're so hungry. Can you please kill that demon too?" So it says Krishna was thinking how to give mercy to some wives of some Brahmins. So Krishna said, yes, you should go there. Right now there's some Brahmins performing a sacrifice, and you should go and beg from them and ask them for food. But you should know they're not Vaishnava Brahmins, so they may not give just by using the name of Krishna. Maybe better you say that the food is for Balaram, because everybody knows Balaram is the son of Vasudeva, who's a Kshatriya, but Krishna is known as the son of Nanda, who's a Vaishya. So they may be less inclined, because charity, the best charity is given to a worthwhile Brahmin. Anyway, we don't fit in that category, but at least Balaram is a Kshatriya, so they may be a little inclined to give to, a higher class person. So they went there and they begged for food. They said, dear Brahmins, our friends are Krishna and Balaram, and they're very hungry. Can you please give us some food? Even they explain, if you give food at this time in the sacrifice, there won't be any fault. It doesn't spoil any of the rituals. Now is a time when you can distribute food. It was something like between the initiation ceremony and the animal sacrifice. There was a lag somewhere where if you distribute food at that time, no harm at all. So this is a good time. If you think we're worthy, you please give us something to eat. But those Brahmins, they weren't Vaishnava Brahmins. They weren't inclined, even though they're Vedic Brahmins, chanting the hymns of the Vedas, doing Vedic sacrifice, and the ultimate goal of all the Vedas came to beg food from them almost directly. He sent his best friends to beg food from them on his behalf. But those Brahmins, not seeing the ultimate purpose of the Vedas, they didn't give anything to Krishna. They just ignored the kids. Sometimes like the kids at Bihari Lal's, it's like, please, don't bother me. Something like that, I guess. So they went back to Krishna and Balaram. They said, it didn't work. They didn't give us anything. Krishna said, don't be discouraged. That's how begging goes. You can't expect to always be successful when you beg things. So go to the wives. You should go to the wives of the Brahmins. They're great devotees. And the idea was that this was like a Brahmin community. I went one time to the there's a place in Braj Mandal. It's somehow between Vrindavan and Mathura. I went so many years ago that I forgot exactly where it is. But some within 10 kilometers of here, but not that close also. You can go to the place where this pastime happened. So there was a community of Brahmins there. And if they needed dairy products or other agricultural products, they were associating with the residents of Vrindavan. And so those ladies going to the market were always hearing about Krishna and Balaram from the residents of Vrindavan when they were interacting with the residents of Vrindavan. So by that association and by that hearing, they became great devotees. And Krishna knew that, and he wanted to reciprocate with them. So he sent to the wives, and immediately the wives were ready. Oh, Krishna and Balaram were hungry? They prepared so many things. And they went out to the forest also, and they had darshan of Krishna and Balaram. Krishna beautifully standing in his threefold bending form with his elbow on the shoulder of a friend. And they went to directly serve Krishna. And they prayed to Krishna. They wanted a relationship with Krishna, but they were Brahmin ladies. Krishna knew it's not appropriate to have. They weren't like in the same category as the gopis of Vrindavan. And they kind of became fearful, just like the gopis in the rasa dance. You know, how can we go home back to our husbands now? We've done, this adharmic act of, leaving our homes to come serve you. How will our husbands accept us again? But Krishna reassured them there will be no issue like this. And sure enough, they went back to their husbands. What did their husbands say? I should read it because it's so good. Prabhupada writes, the Brahmins were very much interested in the comforts of the material body and in elevation to the higher planetary residences called Swargavas. They were therefore completely unable to understand the position of Krishna. After the return of their wives from Krishna, the Brahmins engaged in the performance of sacrifices began to regret their sinful activity in refusing food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They could finally understand their mistake. Engaged in the performance of Vedic rituals, they had neglected the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had appeared just like an ordinary human being and asked for some food. They began to condemn themselves after seeing the faith and devotion of their wives. They regretted very much that although their wives were elevated to the platform of pure devotional service, they themselves could not understand even a little bit of how to love and offer transcendental loving service to the Supreme Soul. They began to talk among themselves. They said, to hell with our learning, to hell with our being born Brahmins. To hell with our learning all the Vedic literature. To hell with our performing great sacrifices and observing all the rules and regulations. To hell with our family. To hell with our expert service in performing the rituals exactly according to the description of the scriptures. To hell with it all, for we have not developed transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the speculation of the mind, body, and senses. In other words, in spite of all of our pretense of advancement in terms of Vedic culture and knowledge, we couldn't recognize the goal. So all those things were like an obstacle to us. So who really knew the Vedas? Their wives. Their wives may not have been equally qualified in terms of being able to chant Vedic mantras and do various rituals. They may not have, understood certain points, philosophical points, or certain explanations of Dharma. Like that, even there's another, to hell with all of our vows, our austerities. The Brahmin said, according to Vedic injunction, women are not allowed to undergo the purificatory process of initiation by the sacred thread, nor are they allowed to live as brahmacharinis in the ashram of the spiritual master, nor are they advised to undergo the strict disciplinary procedures, nor are they very expert in discussing the philosophy of self-realization. By nature, they are not very pure, nor are they very much attached to auspicious activities. Therefore, how wonderful it is that these women have developed transcendental love for Krishna, the Lord of all mystic yogis. They have surpassed all of us in firm faith and devotion unto Krishna. Although we are considered to be masters in all purificatory processes, we did not actually know what their goal is because we are too much attached to the materialistic way of life. Even though we were reminded of Krishna and Balaram by the cowherd boys, we disregarded them. We now think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply played a trick of mercy on us by sending his friends to beg food from others. Otherwise, he had no need to send them. So like that, they recognized their mistake. They were too attached to a lower conception of Vedic knowledge and the goal of Vedic knowledge. Krishna says if you really want to understand what is Vedic knowledge, real Vedic knowledge means surrender to Krishna. Any questions or comments?
Thank you for this wonderful presentation. It's so nice to bring a story from Krishna for such a philosophical concept. And this is called Purushottam Yoga. So this explains how Krishna is the Supreme Person and how it was recognized by the wives and finally by their husbands. It's very, very, very sweet. Thank you. I never would have thought of it.
I hope it was the right story.
Definitely the right story. It brings a simple example to understand a very high concept. This is a very, very helpful for me also. I always kind of dread this verse. Please let the speaker come so I don't have to give a class.
Anything else?
You give explanation about Gandhi Maharaj as a statement saying that Maharaj was
who?
Nanda Maharaj.
And then who was the other person?
You said Nanda Maharaj is Vaishya.
Yes.
Is Vaishya and Yadava is the same because Nanda Maharaj belongs to the Yadava community.
Yeah, and he was the leader of the Vaishya section. They were protecting cows and doing. Mainly they were protecting cows.
They were called Yadavas, not Vaishyas, I think. Vaishyas are, it's a contradictory statement for me.
Well, by their work, what were they doing? What were the residents of Vrindavan doing? Everybody knows. You can look at any picture of Krishna. I didn't make it up. Prabhupada says in this Krishna book.
Because Vaishya community is different, Yadava community is totally different.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I don't remember where I was reading, but I was reading in one of Prabhupada's books. He was explaining how in the Yadava family there was some mixed marriages. The family itself, the Yadavas were Kshatriyas, and so Vasudeva came in the Kshatriya line. But Nanda Maharaj was born of a Vaishya wife. Although the family was Kshatriya, he was born of a Vaishnava woman. So he took preference to go into a Vaishya community. So Yadavas as a rule were Kshatriyas, but because of this mixed marriage came in, therefore Nanda Maharaj came to become a Vaishya, and as a Vaishya branch of the Yadav family.
That was great. Also, I can just add, I found the paragraph just so that I didn't make this up. This is from Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book. Charity is generally given to high-class Brahmins, but Krishna and Balaram did not appear in a Brahmin family. Balaram was known as the son of Vasudeva, a Kshatriya, and Krishna was known in Vrindavan as the son of Nanda Maharaj, who was a Vaishya. It says it right here. Neither belonged to the Brahmin community. Therefore, Krishna considered that the Brahmins engaged in performing sacrifice might be induced to give charity to a Kshatriya and a Vaishya. But at least if you utter the name of Balaram, they may prefer to give in charity to a Kshatriya rather than to me, because I am only a Vaishya. This is Krishna speaking. Jai, thank you very much for your attention. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
It's probable that we'll have memory